Hey man, I'm not gonna hurt you.
What secrets are really hidden on the fourth floor of Green Meadows? Why would a retirement home full of friendly old residents suddenly turn into the most disturbing cult you've ever seen on screen? And what does Max's foster family really have to do with his brother's so-called suicide a decade earlier? The Home 2025 is a horror movie that flips everything on its head with one of the most shocking twists of the year. It's not just about creepy hallways and unsettling residents. It's about generational greed, a life-stealing ritual, and one of the most brutal finales in recent psychological horror. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, and today we're diving deep into the Home's terrifying ending, the cult of Dea, the truth behind Luke, and what that bloody finale really means for Max.
And no fourth floor, darling. Those patients need...
Max's troubled past. The story of the Home begins with Max, a young man whose life has been defined by trauma. A decade ago, his older foster brother, Luke, supposedly died by suicide. That loss shattered Max, leaving him adrift and full of anger. By the time we meet him in 2025, he's grown into a graffiti artist who's constantly in trouble with the law. After being arrested for vandalism, Max faces the possibility of jail time. His foster father, however, negotiates a deal that spares him a criminal record. Instead, Max is sent to serve community service at a retirement home called Green Meadows. The job seems simple. He'll act as a janitor and superintendent, but there's one strange rule. He's warned never to enter the fourth floor. That one restriction becomes the foundation for the nightmare that follows. Strange incidents at Green Meadows. At first, Green Meadows feels unsettling, but not overtly sinister. Max befriends a few of the elderly residents, and some seem genuinely kind to him. But it doesn't take long before the cracks begin to show. Residents begin breaking into his room at night. Others randomly bleed without warning. Some suffer psychological breakdowns right in front of him. The entire place feels wrong, like it's harboring a secret beneath its quiet hallways. Max starts to sense that whatever's happening on the fourth floor is connected to these disturbing incidents. The fourth floor and a shocking death. Max eventually ignores the warning and makes his way up to the forbidden floor. What he finds is deeply unsettling. The residents on the fourth floor are far worse off than anyone else. They're lethargic, disfigured, and suffering from extreme physical and mental breakdowns. This is no ordinary nursing home ward. These people look like they've been drained of life itself. One of the residents suddenly attacks Max, forcing him to flee. When he's told never to return, it only strengthens his suspicion that something horrifying is being hidden from him. The tension escalates when one of the residents Max had grown close to suddenly dies in a gruesome accident, falling from the building and being impaled on the fence below. Officially, it's ruled a tragic mishap. But Max isn't convinced. This death shakes him to his core, and it drives him to investigate Green Meadows more deeply. He begins to realize that the home isn't just creepy, it's part of a much larger conspiracy.
I think these people need me, and I think I could help them.
Returning to his foster parents, Max decides to visit his foster parents, hoping for clarity. Instead, he discovers even more disturbing truths. At their house, he meets two new foster children. These kids show him a hidden room filled with ritualistic symbols, a shrine that has clearly been there for years. To make matters worse, his foster mother accidentally reveals that she knew the friendly resident who fell to her death. That single slip confirms Max's darkest suspicion. His foster parents aren't innocent. They're directly connected to Green Meadows and whatever horrors are happening inside.
Big brother. I missed you so much.
the truth about Luke and the cult of Dea. The next revelation is the most devastating of all. Max eventually learns that the violent fourth-floor resident who attacked him is actually Luke, his foster brother. Luke's suicide a decade earlier? Completely staged. Instead of dying, Luke had been imprisoned at Green Meadows all along, used as one of its victims. This revelation destroys Max's faith in his foster family. His brother didn't abandon him. He was betrayed by the very people who were supposed to protect them. When Max returns to Green Meadows, he's finally captured. It's here that the film reveals its central horror. The entire facility is a front for a death cult. The residents, the doctors, the nurses, and even Max's foster parents are members. They all worship a fertility goddess known as Dea, and they've been feeding off foster children for decades.
The cult extracts a mysterious life-giving fluid from children's eyes. This substance restores vitality, extending their lives far beyond natural limits. Almost everyone in Green Meadows is over 100 years old, but they've been sustained by the stolen essence of the young.
Dr. Sabian, the lead doctor, has perfected this process, but it comes at a terrible price. The children used for harvesting are left drained, broken, and hollow shells of themselves. Max is now the next in line.
3-year-old man, but you'll be with family. It's time.
Why the friendly resident was killed? One of the residents had grown close to Max, but when she began showing guilt over exploiting him, the cult decided to silence her. Her death wasn't an accident. She was murdered to keep the secret buried. This detail highlights the sheer cruelty of the cult. No matter how long they've lived or how much they've taken, their hunger for life is endless. Anyone who threatens the ritual is destroyed. Luke's redemption. Even after years of being harvested, Luke still has some of his spirit left. When Max is thrown onto the 4th floor to await his fate, Luke makes a desperate sacrifice. He drains what remains of the life fluid from himself and the other 4th floor victims, then feeds it to Max. The process restores Max's strength far beyond normal. For the first time, Max has the power to fight back. Luke, who once seemed lost forever, gives Max the means to survive and destroy the cult. The storm and the slaughter. The film's climax is an explosion of violence. Max, revitalized and fueled by rage, unleashes his fury on the cult. One by one, he cuts down the residents, the staff, and the doctors of Green Meadows. It's not clean. It's brutal, messy, and drenched in blood. But after watching the cult manipulate, drain, and murder children for decades, the slaughter feels like vindication. Meanwhile, nature itself seems to turn against the cult. A massive storm descends on Green Meadows, tearing apart the building. Max's foster parents, the ones who had betrayed him so profoundly, meet their end not by his hand, but crushed beneath the collapsing roof as the storm rips the home apart. Dea's role. Throughout the film, the cult invokes Dea, their goddess of fertility and life. They credit her with granting them their extended years. But, interestingly, Dea never appears. There's no supernatural intervention to back their claims. This ambiguity makes the story even more disturbing. Was the storm an act of divine retribution, punishing the cult for twisting Dea's name? Or was the cult simply a group of humans using science and ritual to justify their greed? The film leaves that question unanswered. The hidden clues. Looking back, The Home cleverly planted hints about its final twist all along. The masked figure who warns Max about the marked ones was part of the cult's psychological manipulation. Patients on the fourth floor watch endless videos about oil reserves, a metaphor for how they are treated as fuel for the elderly. Max's nightmares of Luke crying for help weren't imagination. They were suppressed memories fighting to resurface. A news report about climate change explicitly criticizes the older generation for dooming the young to protect themselves, foreshadowing the film's central metaphor. The pieces were always there, hidden in plain sight.
They killed Norma for knowing too much. They'll kill you too.
Why the ending feels cathartic. The final slaughter is undeniably gruesome, but thematically, it's deeply satisfying. Max, who began the story aimless and bitter, finally finds a purpose. By destroying Green Meadows, he doesn't just save himself, he avenges the countless children who were consumed by the cult. Even more importantly, he uses the cult's own life fluid against them. By redistributing it to the drained victims on the fourth floor, he restores a measure of dignity to people who were robbed of everything. They may not regain their youth, but they at least reclaim their freedom. Max's arc comes full circle. He started as a broken young man haunted by his brother's supposed death. By the end, he learns the truth, gains back Luke in spirit, and discovers new family in his foster sisters. Max's brutal, happy ending. The movie closes with Max drenched in blood, standing victorious among the wreckage of Green Meadows. Every cult member is dead, either at his hand or destroyed by the storm. For once, Max is no longer the victim of forces beyond his control. He's the one in control. And though the ending is violent and drenched in horror, it's strangely optimistic. Max has his brother back, 2 younger sisters to protect, and a new sense of purpose. It's not a traditional happy ending, but it's the closest thing to hope this twisted story could deliver.
While you were at college? Is this where you were and they said you killed yourself?
Our nerdy thoughts. The Home 2025 isn't just another horror movie. It's a disturbing allegory about generational greed, cult manipulation, and the exploitation of the vulnerable. By combining psychological mind games, grotesque body horror, and a cult obsessed with youth, it creates one of the most disturbing and unforgettable finales in recent memory. In the end, Max doesn't just survive. He becomes the embodiment of resistance, a survivor who turns the tools of his oppressors against them and emerges stronger than ever. Brutal, bloody, and oddly uplifting, The Home cements itself as one of the most disturbing psychological horror films of the year.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.